The 2026 NBA season opener was a classic, man. I mean, a double OT game with two of the best teams in the West. Um, Again, double overtime is literally the first game of the season is a perfect way to start off this season. I am recording this before the other game tonight, which is Lakers Warriors, but I'm gonna have to watch that in the morning. It's it's late. I got school in the morning. Um, I mean, I don't even know where to start. Like, there are things I could talk about in the first half, of course, but that was so long ago at this point. But like, um, I'll just start there. We'll get there. So obviously, we know the headline. OKC. It was their banner night, their ring ceremony, whatever you call it, versus Houston Rockets. KD. Back in OKC, obviously. OKC starting the tallest lineup ever with four 6'11" players and a 6'7" player with Amen, KD, Jabari, Sengun, and Adams. Starting lineup for the Thunder was SGA, Wallace, Dort, Chet, and Hartenstein. Um, Chet was really hungry to score in that first half, man. He was 7 for 9. He had 18 points, and he was getting his shots up, and he was looking like, yeah, he's going to be an all-star this year. Now, granted, first game of the season, obviously. So if I say things like that, it's a little bit of like overreacting slash like just talking about this game, not the whole season necessarily. But they were 5 for 20 from three in the first half. Talking about the Thunder, they ended up being 13 for 52, which relates to 25% from three. Now, granted, it's a double overtime game. Not all the numbers and percentages and everything is going to look like this every game, because not every game is going to have 58 minutes played in it. But um, that's something that stood out. And Shea really wasn't a factor until like 6 minutes left of the fourth quarter. Um, where again he had 5 points at the half. I don't know if I can see what he had up until then. I mean, he ended up with 35. He ended up with 35, and he had 11 through the first three quarters. And between fourth quarter and OT, he took off. And it wasn't even the whole fourth quarter. It was the 6 minute mark of the fourth quarter, and then the two OTs. He went like berserk. Um, so I mean, he ends up with 35, 5 and 5, two steals, two blocks, 47 minutes played. Chet, 28 points, 7 rebounds in 39 minutes, who eventually did end up fouling out in the first overtime. Case and Wallace had 14, 7, 5, 4 steals. Hartenstein had 6 and 9, who also fouled out at some point in the second overtime. I think early in the second overtime. But the thing that really sticks out number wise before I get to the Houston Rockets is OKC had 11 turnovers in a double overtime game. Houston had 21. Obviously, we know Houston does not have a starting point guard really. Between it's kind of like a men and Reed Shepard, which, oh boy, we will be talking about some Reed Shepard. But yeah, um, 3-point shooting we saw was a struggle for them last season. It was really their only struggle. Still is. Nothing much to say there. And Lou Dort, I thought struggled, man. Lou Dort wasn't great in this game, especially offensively. Who was 2 for 12 and 0 for 8 from three, and a lot of them were very short on the rim. Wasn't a fan. Lou Dort didn't have a great game. Obviously, he played 45 minutes. He was guarding, again, one of the best scorers of all time. But nonetheless, I mean, some players in OKC had a good game. Obviously, they walk out with the win. Houston, they shot 11 for 39 from three, which is 28%, which isn't great. But you look at the rebound battle, OKC had 39 rebounds to Houston's 51. They had 16 offensive rebounds, while OKC had 12. Um, Points off turnovers, the Rockets had 12, and the Thunder had 26. Not great. But the star of the show, obviously, Alperen Sengun, who played 49 minutes, had 39 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, 1 block, shot 50% from the field, and 5 for 8 from three. 5 for 8 from three, man. Now that a lot of that happened, I believe, in the second half, like the early part of the second half, where he was just knocking down threes. He was looking great. How many fantasy points? 67, about 68 fantasy points for Sengun tonight. Wow. Um, I obviously had was the best player on the floor tonight for the Rockets. I got a lot more notes for the Rockets than I did the Thunder, but in the first half, I mean, you could see the offensive rebounding obviously took part right away. Granted, the end numbers didn't really matter, but at certain points in this game, that offensive rebounding was huge. Like the offensive rebound by Jabari Smith in the double OT to get uh off of the KD miss that get led Alperen Sengun to his little hook before obviously Shea got his free throws. Huge. Um Amen was throwing the threes up, man. I'm a huge Amen guy. I believe in him. He ends up with 18 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, and a block. But he shot 47% from the field and 0 for 7 from three. Take those threes away, he shot 8 for 10 from the field, man. He had 2 and 1s in the first half. He had 4 turnovers. He was looking good. Shea got him a couple times late in that game with the little, push with the right arm. But other than that, I mean, Amen Thompson's Amen Thompson. Um, KD had 14 in the first half on 6 for 11 from the field. Um, Jabari had some good defensive points, some good just good hands. There was a Shea drive that was originally called a foul, but you saw he got all ball on that when it was down low, got overturned. Obviously, like I said, the offensive rebound in the second overtime. He had a huge corner three, I believe, I think it was early in the second overtime too. See, the overtimes and fourth quarter is blending together now, but he's going to be a very good connector. He ends up with 16 and 5, 7 for 15 from the field, no turnovers, which is big. But obviously, the main guy for the Rockets, KD, who ends up with only 23 and 9, 9 for 16 from the field, 0 for 4 from three. I wrote this down in like the I think it was either in the end of for the fourth quarter or the beginning of the like first overtime where Katie let Sengun cook, man. Like they were trying to, he was bringing the ball up. He was like, "Nah, Sengun, you got 30 plus, do your thing." Which I understand. I like he's trying to fit in, there's a lot of good young talent over there, but man, you're Kevin Durant, bro. If you don't take that ball and get your own at some point too, you're not there just to sit there. They brought you in for a reason. They traded Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks in a pick that ended up being Malawatch for a reason. Now, granted, not everyone's going to have a night. Now, granted, 23 and 9 on 56% still good, but obviously, this is Kevin Durant, who we hold to a little bit of a higher standard. Obviously, he also ends up fouling out at the end of that second overtime to where he couldn't even be in for the last shot, which sucks. And obviously led to the Shea free throws. But I mean, again, Sengun looked great. KD though, he was 7 for 13 through the first 3 quarters, and since that third quarter, he was 2 for 3. That also falls into the like, brother, you are Kevin Durant. Go get a bucket. Come on. Don't need to be that like, complacent. And I also just don't think they used him enough either. I think it's a double-ended thing. Like KD didn't go and get it as much as he should have, but they also didn't use KD, I don't think. There's somebody that they did use a little, not a little, a lot, way too much. Reed Shepherd, my guy. 28 minutes, 9 points, 4 assists, 2 rebounds, a steal, and a block. 27% from the field, 3 for 11, 2 for 7 from three. And he was throwing things up. I mean, throwing it up. And he wasn't the only person on the Rockets that did what I'm about to say. But obviously, when you start Steven Adams, you start Amen Thompson and Sengun, who obviously had a good 3-point shooting game and can have good 3-point shooting games at some point. A lot of people on that roster aren't great 3-point shooters, and it seems like some of those guys between a Reed Shepherd, between an Amen Thompson, between like a Josh Okogie, like they were just trying to make sure they got 3-point attempts up, and specifically Reed Shepherd, he was literally like hoisting them. It didn't even look like a jump shot. So I think Reed Shepherd, I'm glad that they think that they can use him a lot since obviously Fred VanVleet won't be here this season, but wow, man. Let's focus a little bit more on making the shots instead of just getting shots up. That's just something that I think now maybe I'm seeing it wrong, but from what I would look, Reece Shepherd was trying to get him up. I mean, Steven Adams had 4 points, 13 rebounds. Kogi had a couple boneheaded time plays like at the end of the first half where he contested late on the AJ Mitchell three that led to an and one. Didn't only saw 8 minutes of Clint Capella. Tari Eason didn't really do much this game. He had a good contest on Shea at the end of the first overtime. But yeah, I mean, Houston had all the chances in the world to win. KD almost saw with that timeout. Like the fact that they didn't call that, the Houston Rockets were lucky, man. They should have lost this game. And I'm a huge Houston Rocket advocate and all for all those guys over there on that team. But that should have been a technical foul. I'm not gonna lie. KD got lucky, and that's a horrible mistake for a guy like KD to make. But I think Houston might be the best rebounding team in the league. That might not be crazy to say, but they had a lot of chances, and the offensive rebounding is going to be a thing that will end up winning them games. Granted, didn't win this game, but nonetheless, it was a crazy game. Um, Again, a man. Hopefully, he's not hurt. He didn't end the first overtime. He didn't play at all in the second. So he had to have gotten hurt on. I thought it was just a cramp, but I figured he was gonna come back in at some point, and it looked like he was gonna, but he just never ended up coming back. So I hope it's not a bad injury, but nonetheless, that was a great opener. Again, not talking about the Lakers Warriors because it's happening as I'm recording this, but I'm gonna put out my weekly episode. We'll talk about that later in the week, probably, and other games that happen tomorrow. And I'm hyped that the NBA is back. This is where you want to be. I'm gonna put out videos like this almost every night. So thank you for watching. Remember to like, subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. And that's all. And I can't wait for day number 2.